Fast, wide-angle, full-frame, autofocus 24mm lens with great image quality that is 3.2 times cheaper than Sony 24mm f1.4 G Master. In-depth review of Viltrox 24mm f1.8 FE. Let's go! As a disclaimer, I have to say that Viltrox company did send me this lens for a review, but I'll share my own thoughts and opinions, advantages and disadvantages, and Viltrox are not going to see the review before it's posted. Let's start off with the kit. In the box we have the lens itself, a plasticky lens hood, also the rear and the front caps, also made of very cheap plastic, and also as a bonus we have this really nice pouch. The build quality and materials are good. This lens is made out of metal and plastic partially, and it weighs only 340 grams. It's very lightweight. On the lens we have an aperture ring, which is very smooth and has no hard stops for video work, for instance, and you also can click it to auto mode to control it via your camera. And also at the back we see the metal lens mount without any weather sealing gaskets, and also the USB Type-C port for updating your firmware. The focus ring is big, smooth and a little tight to rotate. Manual focusing is almost linear and the focus throw is pretty big, but don't forget that it's a focus by wire system and it's hard to repeat the manual focus movement. And also the aperture ring is not that smooth and you can hear some irritating sounds when you turn it. Just have a listen. The lens contains 11 elements in 9 groups. It has 2 aspherical elements and 3 ED elements, extra low dispersion elements. The filter thread size is 55mm, which allows you to use almost any filters you have right now. And also the Sony 35mm f1.8 has the same filter thread, so you can have 2 fast wide-angle lenses with the same filter thread, which is very convenient. Let's talk about the distortion. As you can see, this lens has a very specific distortion. You can see it in the middle of the shot, but the most pronounced and kinda unusual curvature we see at the corners of the shot. It's not as visible or crucial in the real life. As you can see, I shot this real estate, this beautiful flat, and I cannot see this distortion ruining my shots. The same applies to the buildings. But if we compare it to Tamron 17-28 f2.8 lens, the distortion is much more visible. The vignette is quite strong, but it really gets better at f2.2, and at f2.8 we can say that it's identical to Tamron lens, and it almost disappears at f5.6. So if you want your shot to be perfectly illuminated, you have to just simply stop down. The sharpness in the middle of the shot is great at f1.8 and it gets much better at f2.8, but the corner sharpness is pretty soft at wider apertures and it gets really good at f5.6, maybe at f8. At f2.8, the sharpness is really comparable to Tamron 17-28 in the center of the shot, but in the corners, Tamron wins. I have a full in-depth review of Tamron 17-28 f2.8 on the channel, I'll leave a link down below. The image quality is okay, it's good. I like how my face looks at my arm's length, and this lens will be a great choice for your talking headshots or for vlogging. But otherwise, the picture is average, but from time to time you can get some really cool looking shots. Let's talk bokeh. This lens has 9-bladed aperture with rounded blades. During the daylight, the autofocus areas look really nice and smooth, and I like it. But during the night, the situation flips and we can see that the lights of the night city are showing to us the layers inside of the bokehs themselves, inside those circles, kind of like an onion. Also, we can see some cat's eye shaped bokehs towards the edges of the shot, and it's hard to call those circles to be real circles. They are not that circular. And when we begin to step down, the shape is getting unproportional a bit. It's not horrible, but I've seen some better bokeh results for sure. The minimal focusing distance is 30 centimeters, which is a bit worse than the Sony 24mm f1.4 G Master, and it's not a lens for the macro shots. But you can definitely get some pretty nice shots of yourself with very nice and blurry background. I wish the Viltrox lens had closer minimal focusing distance, but it is what it is. Let's talk autofocus. The Viltrox lens has the quiet STM motor, and on Sony a7S III with maximum sensitivity and speed, we do get decent results, but it's a little worse than the Sony 2414 GM or the Sigma 2414 for Sony E. By the way, I have reviews for both of those lenses on my channel, so I'll leave a link down below. Viltrox is doing good when I appear in the shot from the bottom or from the side, but it's not as fast when I run towards the lens or from the lens. And yeah, it does support the eye autofocus. This is a torture test in which 85% of lenses will struggle. And here we can see the weak spot of flaring of this lens in the corner, when the light comes at an angle. And also we can see the big and rainbowy flares in the middle of the shot. And they are kind of curved towards the edges, repeating the weird distortion of this lens. But to be honest, in real life conditions we don't see as much flaring. I would say it's below average performance, but in real life you won't notice something horrible. Chromatic aberrations are apparent at f1.8, but they are minimal, and at f2.8 they are gone completely, so it's a very good performance in this term. The focus breathing does exist, and it's not as noticeable, but guys, I have a feeling that the distortion in the corners of the shot is also changing while you're focusing, which I see for the first time in my life, to be honest. And if you focus more closely, you get stronger distortion at the corners of the shot. Interesting. And now a few words about low light and coma smearing. You definitely can make some low light and night shots with this lens. At aperture f1.8 and ISO 12800 in S-Log3 with my Sony a7S III, I had enough light to make this shot on my balcony, and it was very dark, just trust me. And also we can even see some stars. The coma smearing is not that bad, to be honest. You can see that at f1.8 in the corner of the shot we do see some coma smearing and kind of haloing around bright objects like the light pole, but it's not that bad. I've seen much worse. And if we stop down to f2.2, it's almost gone. And starting from f2.8 and closing down the aperture further, we can see some decent sun stars. They're not that big, and if we count, we can see 7 doubled kind of rays, which is cool. The price of Viltrox 24mm f1.8 is $430. Let's compare it. So here we have the Samyang 24 f1.8 for $500, and this is it. We don't have any 24mm f1.8 on the market right now for Sony E. For full frame, of course. We also do have the new Sigma 24 f2 DGDN contemporary lens for $670, and also more expensive and huge and very heavy Sigma 24 f1.4 for $850, and of course the Sony 24mm f1.4G Master for $1,400. So the Viltrox is the cheapest full frame autofocus fast 24mm for Sony E, and I think for the money it's doing a pretty good job. It has really good autofocus, it's lightweight, it has nice separation from the background, okay, bokeh with its flaws, but it's nice overall, and it's sharp in the middle of the frame, even wide open. But of course it's not perfect. It has a very specific distortion and also pretty soft corners wide open. The minimal focus and distance could be better, and the vignette is quite strong, wide open once again. And to conclude, I do recommend trying out this lens if you do know that you need this 24mm format and a very fast aperture, because I've tested out 3 fast 24mm lenses and I didn't fall in love with any of those. I do prefer the 35mm, but if you do know why you need the 24, go ahead. And which fast wide-angle full-frame lens would you buy? 24mm, 35, or maybe 20mm? Just let me know in the comment section below. And also let me know what you think of Viltrox 24 f1.8. If you did enjoy this video, guys, please smash the like and subscribe buttons as you see my videos and hit the notifications bell. Here are a couple of videos for you to watch next. My name is Nikitin, No Limits On channel. See you guys in the next video. Take care, bye.